Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Rewind That. It's your girl Miss K. If this is your first time joining me, please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. And also, welcome to my channel. Alright, so today we're going to be going over the latest episode of Greenleaf, Season 5, episode number 4, called The Fourth Day. So the episode starts off with Grace and Noah discussing AJ's post-treatment options with the doctor. The doctor says AJ can go home with Grace or be admitted to an inpatient facility for 6 weeks. So Grace wants AJ to come home and is a little annoyed when the doctor tells her that she has to let go of trying to control the situation. The doctor also recommends that AJ do the treatment facility over going home with Grace. So Noah seemed okay with what the doctor was saying, right? But the doctor tells them that the decision is ultimately up to AJ. So when AJ comes in, they give him the options, and to my surprise, he chooses to go home with Noah. And, I knew that definitely hurt Grace's feelings, and you can see it on her face. But what could she do, right? I mean, there definitely might be some resentment coming from AJ toward Grace because she gave him up, while Noah had no choice in the matter because he didn't know about him. Next, Bishop and Lady Mae are pretty pissed off with Jacob about the will situation. So it's obvious that Jacob told them everything, okay, including the fact that Kerissa was using the will to blackmail him. Bishop wants to know why Jacob didn't come to him with this sooner, because this is a serious matter. Jacob tells Bishop that he didn't want Bishop to get all worked up because he saw the toll it took on him when all these things got rehashed the first time with Uncle Mac. Jacob said he was just trying to get to the truth so he could use it against Kerissa. I was trying to protect you, he said. So Bishop says, and instead what you've done is put a target on my back. So Jacob tries to explain that Tara is not like Basie or Rochelle. But Lady Mae and Bishop ain't buying this whole picture of a saint that Jacob has painted of her. Anyway, Lady Mae tells Jacob that she wants Bishop to be a part of the meeting with Aaron because she doesn't trust Jacob to handle this after how he's done things so far. And here was my favorite part of the scene, guys. Lady Mae says, and that wife of yours, whose bony little wriggly hand set this whole Rube Goldberg device in motion? Where is she? Up in that lair of hers that we pay for? And yes, guys, I gave you a verbatim, okay? That had to be verbatim. So Jacob tells Lady Mae that Kerissa is getting ready for a meeting with Dante to discuss their partnership at Excellence. So Lady Mae says, oh, Excellence. And she makes such a big show of being all about black people. But the ones she lives with, the ones who support her, she connives against like David Duke in some kind of head wrap. I'm telling you, Lady Mae, come on, lady. You better read, honey. Read, girl. Read, write, arithmetic, whatever the heck you got to do, honey. She been reading every episode. Oh, my gosh. But to me, the problem was that Jacob had to be the one to hear this instead of Kerissa. Like, I wanted her to read Kerissa like that. Bony little wriggly hands is the one that needed to hear this. Anyway, Lady Mae tells Jacob that she loves him, but she needs him to get out of her face. And I felt bad for Jacob because, they came at my boy kind of hard, but I also understand that this is a serious matter. They already lost their church, and they can't afford to lose their home too. So, that's why it is a big deal. Next, Charity is at Calvary, and it looks like they just finished wrapping up another board meeting, okay, where her and Phil and Judee stay behind to discuss the final Sunday service. Charity suggests that a certain song plays while the congregation watches a PowerPoint she did on the history of Calvary. So Judee is not with that, of course, because why? She's never with anything that Charity says. But anyway, she brings up all the bad things that has happened at Calvary. So Charity and Judee, they go back and forth with insults, but Phil ultimately agrees with Judy's idea. So the whole time, Grace was watching the interaction from the hallway. And once Phil and Judee leave, Grace walks in and tells Charity to follow her. So Grace tells Charity that her and Darius may have a way to get H&H out before they tear down the church. So she asks Charity if she's in or not. And Charity hesitates. So Grace says, girl, I just saw how they both treated you in there. Are you in or out? So Charity says, what did Phil's mother do for Bob? Grace says, I don't know, but her name comes up on every document we dig up. Anyway, Charity says, what do you want me to do? So Grace tells her, help us find Phil's father, Marcus DeMars. So as soon as Grace mentions this man's name, Charity shifts in her seat. So Grace is like, what do you know? And Charity says, I don't know. Look, I'm finally AP. And Grace says, of an H&H church. Charity says, it's more than Daddy ever gave me. And Grace says, I know you love Phil, but do you respect him? The way he lives in Bob's shadow and likes it, that's you in 10 years, honey. Maybe even 10 months. Maybe today. So Charity sighs and says she would love to work there without Judee. And Grace says, so let's get her out of here. So Charity finally gives up some info, okay? She tells Grace that Marcus DeMars doesn't exist because he was a Black Panther back in the day and had to change his name for some reason. But when Grace asks for an alias, Charity gives her the name of Yusuf Shabazz. Next, Lady Mae goes into Kerissa's lair and tells her she wants her out of the house. Kerissa wants to know what Jacob told Lady Mae, and Lady Mae says, oh, he told us everything, including the fact that you're trying to blackmail this whole family. So Kerissa says, I don't even want a divorce. And Lady Mae says, so why in the heck are you getting one? How did this mess even start? Kerissa says, that's between me and Jacob. So Lady Mae was like, okay, fine. Well, you can tell him in private how I threw your trifling behind out. That can be between you two. So as Lady Mae is walking away, Kerissa blurts out the fact that she had an affair and Jacob won't forgive her. She then tells Lady Mae that she only used the will against Jacob to get him to relent, but things just went too far. So Kerissa then tells Lady Mae that if she can get Jacob to forgive her, then she'll let the whole thing go. But if he wants to play hardball, game on. Now, I definitely believe what Kerissa was saying, guys, okay? I mean, I still don't like her, but I believe her. Because I did mention before in another video that I don't believe Kerissa really wants the divorce. I saw in her body language in another episode that she seemed bothered that Jacob wasn't even trying to fight for her, that he was just kind of like rolling with everything she was saying about the divorce and meeting up with the lawyer. And he's like, yeah, you know, he just didn't care. He was pretty much over it. So I just really feel like that bothered her. It hurt her that he wouldn't fight for her after everything he's put her through. And speaking of which, it's hypocritical of Jacob not to forgive her after all he's done to Kerissa. He does have some nerve about how he's treating her, you know, and like I said, I can't stress enough that I don't like Kerissa, but I got to be fair about the situation and unbiased because wrong is wrong and right is right. But Kerissa, with this whole scheme that she was doing, she is totally wrong for that, okay? Anyway, next, Jacob and Bishop are meeting with Aaron, and Aaron tells them that when it comes to the will, it's not going to be about the facts. It's going to be about public perception. So the best thing for them to do is make peace. Then Lady Mae comes in and says she wants a word in private with Jacob. Next, Grace tries to call Yusuf Shabazz, and everything she says to him earns her a strike, and he hangs up the phone after her third one. Next, Lady Mae talks to Jacob and she throws a few scriptures at him to help convict him for not forgiving Kerissa. She tells him that you can't go to the Father with unforgiveness in your heart and expect him to forgive you. So Jacob says, what about what she's done? Did she tell you what she did? And Lady Mae says, I don't care if she screwed the man that took down the Bank of Monte Carlo or something like that. I don't know. Lady Mae be having like all kinds of crazy weird stuff. I mean, some of the stuff she be saying, I honestly be tempted to look it up because I don't be knowing what she's talking about. But yeah, you know, I love her anyway. So anyway, she tells Jacob that Kerissa has endured a lot from him over the years and he needs to forgive her. She says that as much as she wished she could blame Kerissa, she can't because it's really all Jacob's doing. So when Jacob tries to put it back on Kerissa, Lady Mae says, this is about you and how you feel about women and how you feel about me. So Jacob says, but Ma, you never done anything like this. I know she had to feel that in her soul because she was stumped for a second. Then she said, but what if I did? Just go forgive your wife right now. So Jacob said, yes, ma'am. Next, AJ comes to the house with Noah to pick up his things. And AJ act like he can't even give Grace a hug, okay? Anyway, he goes upstairs, and as he's on his way up, Grace gives Noah a card for a doctor that specializes in treating HIV patients. So AJ turns around and says, this is why I don't want to stay here. I told you I don't want to talk about it again, and that's all you want to do. Just shut up about it. So Grace ain't really trying to hear that, okay? She proceeded to tell Noah that he needs to get a handle on this thing because AJ isn't asymptomatic. He needs treatment. Noah tells her, don't worry, I'll handle it. Next, Bishop goes to talk to Tara James and he tells her everything about the will, on top of telling her that it had to be Mac that made the phone call and not him. So Tara lets him know that the things do seem a little strange and she can't just get out of her head what happened to her father. So Bishop says, tell me what to do to make it right. Next, Judee comes into Charity's office and fires her for talking to Connie Sykes about Sunday service. Oh my gosh, I would just loved if Charity would have just grabbed her little devilish behind from the back of that little hump in the back of her head and just pulled it down. That little camel hump. Anyway, let me stop. I mean, this lady is really like a little devil. And people like her are the worst, okay? She was like, I'm Bob Whitmore's daughter. Nobody here has more power than me. And she actually said, only God has more power than her. Next, Charity goes to Phil to tell him what happened, and he already knew and did not seem to care. He made it clear that he was backing Judy's decision 100%. I ain't even gonna lie, guys. I felt Charity's pain in this scene, especially when she said to Phil, how I wish you were the man I thought you were. Him I loved. She also let him know that if the church he's trying to build with Judee makes it, they will be hearing from her lawyer. And Phil just stood there, most likely feeling like a fool. Next, Jacob goes into the room to talk to Kerissa. She tries to help him out with the apology, but Jacob doesn't budge. And it was honestly like a smack in the face to Kerissa. So she says, you know what? I'll lay off the will, because I know your mom sees that I'm right. And she's going to make sure you do the right thing, because you don't know how. Then she says, we're done. And Jacob says, I know. So my thing here, guys, I already told you how I feel about it. You know, Jacob is being, pretty much a real hypocrite and he can't bring himself to forgive. I see where Kerissa is coming from. However, her approach shouldn't have been like that because this situation was about her wrongdoing, right? Now, when Jacob did his wrong, she forgave him. It's almost like she flipped it on him. Instead of like owning up to what she did, she kind of came at him and was like, let me help you. I'm sorry, Kerissa, that I drove you into the arms of another man. I'm sorry this, I'm sorry that. No, boo, you was the one that was supposed to be apologizing so that he could forgive you. And if you forgave him, you shouldn't have went out there and cheated on him. Okay, that's another thing. Sometimes people be taking folks back and then still feel like you got to do a get back situation. Kind of like if any of y'all watched, let me do a little sidebar real quick. If any of y'all watched the Red Table interview with Jada and Will and how Will was like, I am going to get you back. It's almost like, what's the sense, boo? Like, if you ain't going to ride with me after doing the wrong thing, and I'm not saying the person that did wrong, should be excused. But if you're going to forgive somebody, forgive them. Don't go out and do it and try to do a get back. You know what I'm saying? But if a get back is something that y'all agree on, that's a whole nother situation. But I'm just saying, my point is, Kerissa done stole the whole thing and she turned it around back on him, and that wasn't the time. And if she really wanted to make things right with Jacob, she would have let him have that moment. But she stole the moment from him, and it just probably made him feel like, girl, bye, Anyway, so next, Grace goes into AJ's room where Sophia and Zora were already in there trying to convince him to stay. You can tell that the love they were showing made AJ feel good inside. So the girls leave the room and Grace tells AJ that he can always come back. And AJ says, I know, thanks. Then he gets up and heads for the door. But then comes back to kiss his mom on the forehead. So Grace is just taking things hard right now, right, guys? Because she feels guilty about giving AJ up all those years ago. All she wants to do right now is make things right, and she wants to make things up to him. But she sees that it ain't going to be easy, okay? It ain't going to be that easy because that's a lot of hurt to get through before you can get to that heart of his. That's what it's looking like. Anyway, it also seemed like Grace wanted to say more to AJ when she first sat down, but I think she decided that it just wasn't the best time for it, right? So she didn't. Next, we see that Phil has been giving Judee no action, and she's wondering when he will let her. We also find out that this chick is still married to someone else. Next, Bishop tries to convince Mae that everything is settled with Tara. He tells her that they prayed and cried together and the Holy Spirit was present. So Mae says, maybe you're right, but I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over. Then Jacob comes in and tells Lady Mae that he couldn't forgive Kerissa. And not because he had unforgiveness in his heart, but because he didn't want to go back to that thing we had. He said that hard too. So clearly, he's just not in love with Kerissa, okay? Then Grace and Charity come in, and Charity tells her family that she quit H&H, talking about some hallelujah, I'm free. I'm like, girl, you need to stop the lies, girl, okay? She tried to make it seem like she took the bold stance, when in reality, the decision was made for her. Anyway, Bishop tries to make an announcement to the family and was interrupted by a call from Tara, who told him that she changed her mind about everything and wants to talk about the house. I knew that Bishop shouldn't have told her about that will, okay? Because there was no need to. And one thing in life is that you cannot give people too much information, okay? It's usually not a good idea. Anyway, guys, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. I look forward to hearing what you guys got to say. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one and be blessed. Bye-bye.